Neo-Kobe Pharmaceutical Labs, can I help you? Huh? Oh, it's you, Gillian. What's going on? The number you have reached is not in service at this time. Please check the number and dial again. This is a recording. JT&T Neo Kobe. Good afternoon. Neo Kobe Pharmaceutical Labs. May I help you? Oh, Gillian, what's up?
The number you have reached is not in service at this time. Please check the number and dial again. This is a recording. JT&T Neo Kobe.
Have a seat, Gillian. We're safer in a crowded place like this.
Jeez, you really had me fooled. 2 rolls in 1.
Gesundheit.
Well, you gotta understand. Being an informer isn't exactly the safest job on the planet, That's why it's important to be a master of disguise, like me.
Yeah, but I feel pretty stupid. I mean, all that time I was asking you about where Jean went, I didn't realize I was asking someone who actually worked there.
Hey, I was just as surprised as you were. But I didn't know that Gibson had been here. You see, I wasn't working that day.
Anyhow, it's not masquerade night today. Why don't you take that mask off, Napoleon? It's a little unnerving sitting here talking to a wolf.
All right. I suppose there's no harm there. Boy, you really work up a sweat in these full-face masks.
Oh, boy. Maybe you should have left that on.
What? Still, you did a nice job of figuring out who I was.
Come on, Napoleon. That stupid phone recording with the Wolfman? JT&T would never do anything that tasteless. Besides, what really tipped me off was that constant sneezing of yours.
Sneezes, eh? Well, listen, you want me to tell you why I'm called Napoleon?
Because winter gets the best of you. Napoleon Bonaparte sent his enormous army into Russia in 1812, but suffered a major defeat because of the snow.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, this sneezing isn't a cold. It's my allergy to snow 9 pollen. So, anyhow, what did you want to know?
I've got a couple of questions to ask you.
Fire away.
so that's it. Benson. Beryllium is Be, nitrogen is N, sulfur is S, and oxygen is O. And another N makes Benson. The name Benson was encoded on this file.
Benson. I sure hope it is not referring to the chief, Benson Cunningham.
Or to our friendly engineer, Mr. Harry Benson. No, that couldn't be. No way!
But the possibility, though remote, does exist.
Metal, I want you to cut off all your data transmissions to headquarters now.
Understood. Now disabling automatic transmission routines. Done. No further data transmissions to headquarters will be executed.
My God, a Snatcher in Junker headquarters? We've got to get there quick. Let's go, Metal.
See you later, Junker. Today's little information tidbit is on me. Now take care, Gillian. Don't get yourself taken out by some snatcher. I think I'll lay low for a while. You know, after all, you are my main source of income.
You be careful too, Napoleon. You get killed and you won't be able to sneeze anymore.
What's that supposed to mean?
See you, Napoleon. Metal, let's go.
Bet I surprised you, huh? Don't worry, this is just a tape. I'm at work right now. If you need to reach me, please call Neo Kobe Pharmaceutical Labs at 391009. Sorry to scare you. Bye! Gillian, it's me, Jamie. Listen carefully. You know that Queen's Hospital? I found out that they undertook a major expansion project in 2035 to put in a basement. That's right, they have a basement. Basement construction is really unusual here in Neo Kobe. That's why there are still records of it. But there's more. The director of that hospital, Chin Shu Ho, has had his license suspended in the past for performing eugenics experiments at an illicit underground facility.
Are you telling me Queens has underground treatment facilities?
That has to be it, Gillian. Chin Shu Ho is performing skin operations on Snatchers underground.
And that means that Chin himself is also probably a Snatcher. Or rather, the real Chin, the original Chin, was snatched.
So, that entire ground-level complex is just a front for the underground facilities.
And if we hit that hospital, we can ruin the Snatcher's plans. Well, this is it, Metal. We're heading right into the enemy's headquarters this time.
Gillian,
Yeah?
this sounds really dangerous. I just wanted you to know I want you to come home safe.
Jamie,
The reason I left you is because I thought you were pushing yourself too hard, being self-destructive. And it seemed like the wedding ring you were wearing when they found us had become a tremendous burden on you. I didn't want that to be the only reason we stayed together.
Oh, Jamie, I never felt that way at all.
I'll be waiting for you. We may not have our memories, but you are the only one I've ever shared any time with. Be careful, Gillian.
Jamie.
Are you all right, Gillian?
Yeah. All right, Metal, let's go. We have to pay a visit to Queen's Hospital. Her Majesty is waiting.
Just where do you think you're going?
This is most unusual. The turbo cycle seems to be out of control.
Switch over to manual. I'll take over.
Understood. I've switched to manual control. Well, how is it?
What the? We've got no brakes! Metal, check the brake system out. Pronto!
Sorry, Gillian. Looks like sabotage. No doubt the Snatcher's handiwork.
Sabotaged? But the only one who could work on the turbo cycle.
Worry about that later. Gillian, we've got to do something quickly.
Good morning to you, my friend. Bud Miller with you here on the big 90.7. Looks like we're gonna have a bright...
What else can we do? Metal, start punching buttons.
Any buttons at all?
Yes, push anything.
Gillian, this doesn't seem to be doing any good.
Damn, I was sure that would work.
Gillian, the road makes a sharp right turn just 1,500 meters ahead. At this speed, we'll never make it. Gillian! Gillian!
Hey, Gillian!
Huh?
Over here!
What's that?
Gillian, over here!
Random.
Gillian, you gotta jump over to my bike! Hurry!
800 meters until we reach the curve.
Metal, you go first.
What? Not again.
Move your butt. That curve's just ahead.
Understood. 1, 2, 3!
All right, Gillian, now it's your turn. Keep her steady.
300 meters until you reach the curve.
Gillian, jump!
I can't. My timing's off.
150 meters.
Gillian, now!
70 meters.
Now, Gillian, now!
Oh, we're too late!
Gillian! I guess he didn't make it.
Don't bury me so fast. I'm right here.
Don't you even know how to ride a motorcycle?
Gillian, it's not much farther to Queen's Hospital, and you could probably use the exercise anyway. Why don't we just continue the rest of the way like this? We've arrived at Queen's Hospital.
So, this is the place, huh? Random, are you sure you know what you're doing? This isn't going to be a field trip, you know. We may not come back.
And the bounty for this one will more than make up for it.
If you're around to spend it, that is.
Gillian, let's get going. This apparently leads down to a lower level.
It looks like Jamie was right. Queen's Hospital does have a basement.
And that basement is the Snatcher's main lair. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, as they say. Well, what do we do now, Gillian?
It's a very narrow stairway. We'll have to go down single file.
Okay, who's going to take the point?
That's obvious. The guy with the light.
Hey, that's not fair!
Well, well, what do we have here?
It's the hospital corridor.
It's the same hallway, but not the one that's on the first floor.
So what does that mean?
An entire floor of Queen's Hospital has been duplicated underground.
So the same floor is both upstairs and downstairs, sort of like parallel worlds.
So that desolate setup upstairs is all just a smokescreen. They're making it look like the place is closed down, but in reality, they're keeping themselves quite busy.
Gillian, that means we're already right in the middle of their headquarters. Please use extreme caution. have been terminated. There's no doubt now that this is their maintenance facility. This one was probably still waiting to get its artificial skin installed.
So this is what they really look like, huh?
Yeah, that's the scariest thing about them. You can't tell them from real people once they've got that skin on.
Perhaps that's humanity's great weakness. We're always judging books by their cover.
And it's just that human weakness that they're out to take advantage of.
All right, Random. Metal, let's go. The HQ's junk squad can take care of him later. We've got an investigation to do.
Let's try pushing both buttons simultaneously.
The two buttons are on opposite panels, so there's no way one person can push them both alone. But if two of us work together, it might do it.
That's it, Gillian. It makes perfect sense. It's the same system they used to use in nuclear missile silos in the late 20th century. Eliminates the risk of one man going nuts and acting alone.
Well, it's hard to be sure, but let's give it a try anyway. I've got button 1. Random, you push number 2. You ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Come on!
You did it! Door number 3 opened.
With safety measures like that, they must have had a good reason for wanting to keep it closed.
Good God!
I read 4 human skeletons in this room.
It's their morgue.
Perhaps victims of the Snatchers?
Well, it doesn't look like whoever put them here was too worried about making sure they would rest in peace.
No, it doesn't. These have got to be their victims.
This is probably where they hide the bodies of the originals they snatch from places like Outer Heaven.
They probably picked Outer Heaven because it gets a lot of VIP traffic. Plus, during masquerade time, they could work the place and still keep their identities secret.
Yeah, and the guy who set up the link between them and Outer Heaven was Freddy, that taxi driver. They must have gone after him not because of who he was, but what he did. After all, with a taxi, there's plenty of chances to milk your customers for information. That's probably how they learned about Outer Heaven and Plato's Cavern.
I've been wondering what they had done with the bodies.
Want to hide a book? What better place than the library? Need to hide a body? How about the morgue?
And for them, keeping the bodies hidden is crucial. I mean, if somebody who's supposed to be dead is out walking the streets, it wouldn't be too hard to figure out that something screwy is going on.
That means that if we can figure out who these bodies were, then we've just nailed 4 snatchers.
Now performing simulated reconstruction of the head and facial features of each of the 4 victims. Commencing with victim number 1. Now performing craniometric analysis. X-ray and sagittal X-ray, magnetic resonance imaging, and positron CT data gathered. Complete cranial data now being compiled. Craniometric analysis complete. Now commencing reconstruction. First, victim's age. Estimate based on 1. Presence or absence of cranial fontanelles and chroma of epicranial sutures. 2. Area of facial region and cranium. 3. Height of upper and lower jaw and development of alveolar part. And 4. Location of cranial center of gravity. Next, victim's sex. Estimate based on 1. Overall size of cranium. 2. Parietal bone angle. And 3. Development of splachnocranium. Lastly, victim's race. Estimate based on 1. Overall cranial configuration. 2. Volume of intercranial cavity. And 3. Mass of the skull. Now commencing soft feature reconstruction based on averaged results of above analysis. Reconstructing. Initial phase completed. Margin of error on estimate of victim's race 10% based on use of averaged values. Now adding postulated hair and eye features. Reconstruction of head of first victim completed.
It's Freddie Nielsen.
Moving on to second victim. Now commencing reconstruction of features of victim number 2. Now starting craniometric analysis. Complete cranial data now being compiled using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Craniometric analysis complete. Now commencing reconstruction using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Reconstructing. Initial phase completed. Margin of error on estimate of victim's race 10% based on use of averaged values. Now adding postulated hair and eye features. Reconstruction of head of second victim completed.
That's Lisa Nielsen.
Moving on to third victim. Now commencing reconstruction of features of victim number 3. Now starting craniometric analysis. Complete cranial data now being compiled using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Craniometric analysis complete. Now commencing reconstruction using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Reconstructing. Initial phase completed. Margin of error on estimate of victim's race 10% based on use of averaged values. Now adding postulated hair and eye features. Reconstruction of head of third victim completed.
Who in the world is that?
That's the director of Queen's Hospital, Shin Fui, what's his face,
Chin Shu O Gillian. Moving on to last victim. Now commencing reconstruction of features of victim number 4.
This one's the most recent. It's still decomposing.
Now starting craniometric analysis. Complete cranial data now being compiled using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Craniometric analysis complete. Now commencing reconstruction using the same techniques as the previous reconstruction. Reconstructing. Initial phase completed. Margin of error on estimate of victim's race 10% based on use of averaged values. Now adding postulated hair and eye features. Reconstruction of head of final victim completed.
It's the chief!
What?
The chief is a snatcher! The Benson on the scrap of that patient record was Benson Cunningham.
Judging from the condition of the body, I would estimate that the snatching took place approximately 1 month ago.
So it was the chief who sabotaged our turbocycle. And those matches we found in Harry's room, the chief must have put them there to try to set him up.
No doubt Harry figured it out and decided to leave that face-to-face message. Wait a minute. Didn't Mika say that Harry had left to go find the chief?
That's right. He was probably trying to track down some evidence on the chief.
Gillian, I'd say that this Harry has put himself in a pretty dangerous spot.
If it was the chief that sabotaged the turbocycle, doesn't that mean that he already knows we're onto him?
Damn! Harry and Mika are in danger!
That's far enough, Junker. Your little investigation is over.
It's them!
Who? Snatchers?
Get them!
My arm! I can't reach my blaster!
I'm hit in the leg!
Is that the best you can do, Junker?
Who's there?
Jin! Jin Shuo, you scum!
It seems you still have some fight left in you. You two are finished, but our plans move forward. We are now entering Phase 2. And when we do, not only this city, but the entire world will be ours to command.
Phase 2? What are you talking about?
As you know, our operations have been hindered up to now by the flaws in our artificial skin. The skin's shortcomings have kept us away from ultraviolet rays, forcing us to do our work at night, underground, or in the winter. In the end, we had to construct a hospital like this, all because of the flaws in our artificial skin. This was the only difference between us and you humans. But now we have broken this barrier.
Huh?
We are on the verge of developing a perfect artificial skin, thanks to the cooperation of a new partner in our plan.
Perfect artificial skin? A new partner?
Once we have the new skin, nothing will be able to stop us. And with that, our plan moves to Phase 2. Our little experiment in this city will end, and we'll move in force to take over the world.
Don't be so sure. You won't get out of the city that easy.
You humans are always so overconfident, so naive.
What are you talking about?
I'm sure you're aware that the Kyoto Summit, being held to decide how to handle the Snatcher problem, opens tomorrow.
Metal, is that right?
Yes, countries around the world are concerned about the Snatcher problem. It will be one of the main topics discussed at this year's summit.
That's right. Tomorrow, we attack the summit.
You must be crazy. The security there will be incredible. You won't even get close.
Must I explain everything to you, Junker? Aren't you even aware that a fellow Junker will be giving a special presentation at the summit?
The chief! Cunningham! So that's why you snatched him.
We've known that your chief would be speaking at the summit for over 3 months now.
Gillian, the summit is tomorrow. We have to hurry.
Listen, we have your chief. You Junkers are at our mercy, and so is this city. And tomorrow, we move on the world. Nothing can stop us now. We will finally achieve our long-awaited goal of global domination.
Who is this we you keep talking about?
We are an evolved life form, given life in the depths of the Kremlin by our creator, Modnar. We are a new race.
Modnar?
Modnar? The Kremlin? Those names are familiar, but...
Our goal is to snatch all of the world's leaders and then achieve total control of human thought and worldwide racial unification.
You're insane. Humanity won't be so easily dominated. You underestimate the strength of the human spirit.
I think not. In the same way as the Nazis, our strategy begins with the overpowering of the spirit of the people. We will strike at you humans' weakest point, the most primitive part of your psychological makeup, your suspiciousness and fear. By provoking suspicion and mistrust throughout the populace, we will destroy that fragile fabric which holds your society together, that of trust. Fear is you humans' weak point. It is the primitive part of your brains that binds you forever to your animal ancestors and makes you vulnerable. By stimulating that part of your atavistic instincts, our plan can succeed magnificently.
Gillian, at this rate, they'll kill us all. You've got to get out alive. You're a junker.
Just what have you have in mind?
I've got a big fireworks show ready for them. Better that than get snatched.
What? You're gonna blow yourself up? No, we're better off fighting together.
Hey, it won't work. I'm hit in the thigh. Ow, oh, damn. A bounty hunter can't do anything with a leg wound like this. I might as well have been shot in the head.
There must be some way out of here.
Hey, I wasn't doing this job just for fun. I stayed ready for situations like this. I've always been prepared to go out with a bang.
It's December. A little late for fireworks.
So it'll be an off-season show.
No, I can't let you.
My belt's packed with TNT PX. You know, that really strong stuff they use in the mines on Mars. One push, and this whole hospital will go. No trouble at all. No time to sit around thinking, Junker boy. Go! What are you doing? Get your butt moving, you fool! Get out through this air shaft. I've got a powerful strobe on me. Its flash will screw up their sensors long enough for you to get out. Now, you with me? Fireworks are better from a distance anyway, Gillian.
Are you two finished chatting? Then I think it's time for you to die. We're quite busy, you know.
You ready? When I give the signal, break into the air shaft and run, and don't forget your blaster.
Metal, stay with me.
Yes, sir.
Random.
Gillian! Doesn't look like I'm gonna have a chance to call in that debt you owe me.
Don't worry. I'll pay it back to the Snatchers with interest.
All right, go! Run, Gillian!
Metal, are you okay?
I'm alien. I think.
Metal, something broken?
Okay, but it appears that language circuits have been damaged somewhat.
What happened?
Random blew himself up after getting us into this air shaft.
Random.
Gillian, that explosion should have taken all of Queen's Hospital with it.
The thick walls of this duct must have shielded us from enough of the blast. If it wasn't for Random, we wouldn't have made it. Oh, Random.
Gillian, we have no time for grief now. We must get back to Junker headquarters as quickly as possible. Harry and Mika are in danger.
You're right. And I have to keep my promise to Random. But first, we have to figure out how to get out of here.
I can't see a thing. What should we do?
What in the world?
This is part of the tube liner, the city's long-abandoned subway system.
You mean Queen's Hospital and this were connected?
Yes, it would appear that the Snatchers were using this to move from place to place. This would provide them with the perfect way to move about while still avoiding the ultraviolet rays they hate so much. We should have realized this sooner. The city is crisscrossed by the tube liner's old lines, and since they are abandoned, the Snatchers could move undetected as well.
Aha! That's how those two we caught a glimpse of at the abandoned factory where Gibson was killed were able to disappear so quickly. They must have used this subway.
That would appear to be correct. The tube liner passes underneath that factory site as well. That would also explain why sand from the factory was in the air duct at the hospital.
So this is the trick they were using to stay out of the sun and avoid being seen while they moved around.
Now we know why it took so long to uncover them.
All right, let's follow the subway. We should be able to get out when we get to the nearest station. Look, metal, light!
Yes, but this doesn't look like a station.
There's a ladder.
Where do you suppose it leads, Gillian?
I don't have the slightest, but let's climb it and see.
All right, now climbing the ladder. We seem to have emerged into an odd place. Wait, this room.
It's Freddie Nielsen's bathroom. He was using this shaft from the bathtub to get down into the subway. So that's how he did that.
Ah, yes. As I recall, after you disposed of Lisa, he somehow entered the apartment without using the regular entrance.
Which he accomplished by using this secret passage into his bathtub.
The bathtub must be of a double construction. The bottom is actually a lid. When they wanted to hide the passage, all they needed to do was fill the tub. And to get in and out, they would just drain the water into another tank.
Jeez, double-bottom bathtubs, abandoned subways? Snatchers really go out of their way to stay out of the sun.
Okay, Gillian, let's head outside.
Is he dead?
He's junk now. Stubborn one, wasn't he?
Jeez. He made it through that explosion and was waiting for us out here. If those things ever get control of the city, there's no way we'll ever get it back. We've got to stop them before that.
And to do that, we have to prevent the chief from getting to the Kyoto summit.
I know. And I have to pay back my debt to Random.
Let's use this taxi to get back to Junker headquarters.
I planned on it. I just hope Mika and Harry are safe.
All right, I'm going to open it, but please use extreme caution. Anything could be inside.
Mika! Mika, are you all right? Metal, how is she?
Her pulse is normal. The only external injuries are to her forehead, and they are not serious. There's been no significant blood loss.
Mika, come on, snap out of it. It's me, Gillian.
Gillian? Gillian.
Mika, what happened?
Gillian, the Chief. The Chief is a Snatcher.
So he's finally shown his true colors.
Harry's...
What's happened to Harry?
Harry put me in the pod and sealed the main door. He locked the Snatcher in.
That was smart. Not even a Snatcher can get through this shield.
So where's Harry?
He said keep the door sealed no matter what happens in there. And then he went in. Gillian, please help him.
Harry! Mika, open the door. I'm going in. Metal, we're going in. Be careful. That Snatcher could be hiding anywhere.
Yes, sir.
Gillian, please be careful. The Chief is very cunning. Don't let your guard down.
Don't worry. I'll watch myself in there.
Harry!
Oh, Gillian, is that you? I'm getting old. Just look at me.
What happened?
I saw the Chief messing with your turbocycle, and that weird picture in his office.
Metal, how is he? Metal!
I do not wish to say.
Really that bad, huh?
Gillian, when I confronted him about what I saw, he showed me what he really was. I was barely able to even scratch him.
That's enough, Harry. I understand. Metal, is there anything we can do for him?
Gillian, I'm sorry.
Harry, you'll be okay. It doesn't look like you're hurting too bad. This'll work out perfect. You always were working too hard anyway. Why don't you take a nice long vacation somewhere and rest up?
Yeah, sure. Nice try, Gillian, but it's my body. I know I ain't gonna make it. You were a good kid, Gillian.
Harry!
I don't know how to say this right, but I've always had a special feeling about you. I've always had trouble talking to people since I was little, like my father. What I can remember of him.
Pulse and blood pressure falling.
Harry, hang in there. You and I were gonna go out and tie one on, remember?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You, me, and Jean, the three of us.
But John is...
Metal, quiet!
Gillian, I've lived my life alone. I didn't know my parents or family. Always so stubborn, glued to my research. I never really trusted anybody. That was a mistake.
Blood pressure continuing to fall.
Harry?
After Jean died, I felt it. Human warmth, companionship.
I know what you mean.
Gillian, I just wanted to get along with everybody. I don't need no Nobel Prize. For 50 years, I've been searching, trying to find something I lost. Looks like I'll never find it now.
Gillian, he's about...
Looks like I've been talking too much. It's up to you now, Gillian. I'm finished. You won't forget this, old grouch, will you?
Harry!
Gillian, you've got to believe in yourself. You're the last
Junker.
Harry! Harry!
Pulse 0. Pupils are dilated.
Cunningham! No! Snatcher! I'll get you for this!
We have no time for grieving. That Snatcher is still hiding somewhere here in headquarters.
Metal, listen to me. If that Snatcher gets me, you've got to take Mika and run. Then you've got to blow up Junker headquarters. Blow it sky high! You understand me?
Yes, sir. I just hope it doesn't come to that. So, where should we start our search? Control system has been destroyed. Distance to motion readings increasing.
Is he trying to run?
Motion readings have vanished.
You got past me this time, Snatcher.
Headquarters emergency lighting has been activated.
Can we find him again?
We should go after him immediately.
We'll find him. We know he's somewhere inside headquarters.
The Snatcher has been wounded. We should look for traces of blood. main door has been opened. Did Mika open it?
Wait, Mika's not in the pod. What happened?
The lighting has been disconnected.
Don't move, Seed.
Cunningham, is that you?
I read motion. He is definitely in here.
Where are you? Show yourself.
I'm right here. I don't need to run or hide from you.
Mika!
No, Gillian, don't move. It's a trap.
A hostage? You cowardly scum! Mika, why did you open the entrance?
I don't know. I was really scared. I mean, the emergency light's coming on so suddenly.
Seed, go ahead and shoot. But you'd better be a pretty good shot, or this kid goes home in a bag.
Shoot, Gillian. Kill this thing. Don't worry about me.
Mika!
What are you going to do?
I have you now, Junker.
The Snatcher's functions have been terminated.
Mika, are you all right?
Yes. Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Harry? I got him. Random? Sorry it took so long, but this ought to make us even.
Junker? You may have stopped me, but it's not over yet.
Gillian, this is just residual energy feedback. Its power levels are dropping rapidly.
Queen's Hospital was nothing more than a maintenance facility. We have comrades operating throughout the city, more than you can imagine. Now our plans will move into Phase 2. For that, we will enlist the help of Professor Lorraine. Your existence is meaningless as long as you don't get your memory back. Good luck, Junker.
My memory? Comrades? Professor Lorraine?
Harry! Why? Please tell me. Why do so many good people have to die?
Mika!
This is all wrong.
Mika, don't worry. I won't let anybody else die. I've made a promise to Harry and Random. But the city is still full of Snatchers. This fight is just beginning.
Gillian, I have an urgent video call from Jamie. I'll connect you.
Gillian, I've got my memory back. I remember everything.
Your memory? So what about us, Jamie? Who are we?
Gillian, it's terrible. What we've done.
Jamie, what's wrong?
I can't tell you something like this over the video phone. I would have been better off never remembering.
Okay, Jamie, calm down. I'll head out right now. Where are you? Is it snowing?
I'm sorry, Gillian. I can't tell you. They've taken our boy hostage.
Our boy? Who?
Professor Modner is here too.
Jamie, what are you talking about?
I'm so sorry.
Snatcher!
Gillian!
We have Professor Lorraine. We only require her cooperation for a short period here at the Kremlin. So for now, I suggest you avoid doing anything foolish, Professor Seed.
With the start of this year's Kyoto Summit just 3 hours away, the delegates from the participating countries are beginning to arrive at the conference center. A major poll of domestic and international opinion, carried out just last week, shows that the vast majority of respondents favor a complete quarantine of Neo Kobe as a means to combat the risk of the Snatcher menace.
Now that the Chief's death has been confirmed, it won't be long before they strip us of our Junker authorization.
They will be deciding how to handle Neo Kobe at the summit in just 3 hours.
There are rumors that they're going to use nukes on the city to make sure the Snatchers are wiped out.
That's ridiculous. Come on, this is the 21st century.
That may not be as improbable as it seems. The world's leaders are extremely concerned about the Snatcher problem.
The Chief was going to calm this hysteria in his speech at the summit, but that'll never happen now.
3 months ago, government pressure on Junker operations increased dramatically. Gillian's transfer here was really our last chance.
Our own chief was snatched. It's not too surprising they don't want to trust us anymore.
I've heard that the Army and FBI are going to take over operations now.
That's correct. That too will be officially decided in 3 hours' time.
3 hours, eh? Is there any way we can find their hideout in that time?
If we don't, we and everybody else in this city are finished.
As far as they're concerned, we're just like a cancerous tumor that has to be cut out.
We have to hit the Snatchers' headquarters before then.
Gillian, can you do it?
If we only knew where it was, I should be able to manage something.
Hitting their outposts like Queen's Hospital won't do any good. We have to find their main nerve center.
What about the memory of that snatcher who was impersonating the chief?
Just like the others, it was completely blanked. It's a form of self-destruct mechanism that they use.
Wait a minute. Mental. What about tracing that video phone call from Jamie?
It was no good. The call didn't last long enough. Still, it definitely did come from within the city.
Damn. Where are they hiding?
Gillian, can't you remember anything at all? Didn't Jamie say something that implied you were somehow connected to the Snatchers?
Nothing. I can't remember a damn thing. Metal, I want you to tell me everything you know about me. Why was I sent to Junker headquarters? Where did I come from?
Gillian.
Metal, the chief's dead. Tell me everything you know about me.
Well, you see...
Metal!
All right. With the chief gone, you are the highest-ranking officer here.
You knew all along?
Of course.
Where were we rescued from?
3 years ago, you and Jamie were taken into protective custody in the Siberian Neutral Zone by the 17th Siberian Investigative Force. More precisely, you were discovered in cryogenic sleep pods in an underground bunker near Moscow.
Cryogenic sleep pods? You mean they were frozen?
This is a photograph of the bunker. There is no record of when you were placed there. In addition, the third pod was empty at the time you were discovered.
There were 3 pods?
You were revived and taken into custody by the Army. Apparently, as a result of the extended sleep, both of you suffered from complete amnesia. However, another theory suggests your memories may have been intentionally erased. This is the only piece of evidence found at the site.
That's Harry's picture, from when he was a kid.
That's correct. Harry is Gillian and Jamie's son. It's been confirmed by DNA tests.
Harry? Harry was my son?
Using the information gained from the photo, it was established that you are Gillian Seed and your wife, Jamie Lorraine. Both of you are American citizens, born in the late 1960s.
The 1960s?
In addition, both of you vanished without a trace in 1989. There is no other information available about you after that.
1989?
Yes, you come from a world that's been gone for 50 years.
But what does that have to do with the Snatchers?
When the 17th Special Investigative Force was bringing the two of you out, there was an accident. Though the two of you were all right, most of the 17th was killed. One of them was a Snatcher. Of course, before their departure, they all underwent thorough examinations. So, if one of them was snatched...
It had to be somewhere in Siberia, right?
That's correct. And in order to attempt to determine the origin of the Snatcher, as well as your true identities, you were assigned to Junker headquarters. The hope was that exposure to the Snatchers would help you regain your memories.
Moscow? 50 years ago?
Almost everyone who was in Moscow at the time was killed in the catastrophe.
So Gillian and Jamie are the only living witnesses?
Harry was my son. Did he know?
No. It was highly classified information. He was never told.
I was never able to do anything for him.
Wait a minute, Gillian. Didn't Jamie say something about taking a boy hostage?
That's right. They must know about Harry and are using him to threaten her.
We have to find their headquarters quickly.
We've only got 3 hours.
Gillian, let's think this all through again. We may get some kind of a hint out of it.
You're right. There may be some clue in the way they're operating.
All right, let's go over what we know about them.
In other words, this homing instinct thing of theirs has led them to set up their headquarters in some place that reminds them of home, or their creator.
What part of this city is like Moscow?
Moscow's really cold, right? They get a lot of snow, don't they?
Snow?
No snow has been recorded in Neo-Kobe in several years.
Well, then that's not it.
Wait, what about that pollen? That crystal bioengineered stuff, Snow 9?
Now that you mention it, wasn't it snowing on Jamie's video phone call?
That's right. Their hideout has to be somewhere close to the Ina River.
The Ina River flows for miles around here, Gillian. We could never search it all in time.
Gillian, let's look at a map of the areas investigated so far. This is an enlarged view of the southwest portion of the city around the Ina River. This blue area is that in which Snow 9 is present. Now I'll superimpose a chart of the abandoned tube liner tunnels. From this, we can establish those areas with Snow 9, which are accessible by subway tunnel.
Damn. Nice try, but it's still too large. We could never cover it in 3 hours.
Don't give up so fast, Gillian. What about that image of home thing we were talking about? Maybe there's some kind of geographic similarity. Maybe the same view can be seen or something.
I'll display a map of Moscow alongside.
What's this?
Look, the rivers are exactly the same shape.
This is the Moscow River over here.
It looks like we're on the right track, Metal. Show us the location that Jamie and I were picked up from.
All right, right here.
Metal, before the catastrophe, what was at this location?
The headquarters for the entire Soviet Union, the Kremlin.
The Kremlin? That Snatcher said something about taking Jamie to their Kremlin.
Metal, what spot in Neo Kobe would match up with the location of Moscow's Kremlin?
Calculating. This is the spot. It's presently occupied by an old church. It's rather large, but reports indicate it's been abandoned for nearly 20 years.
And it's right in the middle of the Snow 9 and subway area.
That's it! That's their headquarters, their new Kremlin.
Gillian, let's go!
Wait, Gillian.
I want to go with you.
Sorry, Mika.
Hey, I'm a junker too, you know.
I know, and you're a great one at that.
So take me with you then.
You head to the summit to warn the delegates. They haven't given up, you know.
The summit's in Kyoto. I'm not going to be the only one to run.
You've got to convince them not to use nukes on Neo Kobe.
We found their hideout. There's no need now to sink the whole island.
Yes, but...
It's a tough job. Can you do it?
Okay, Gillian. I'll do what I can.
Thanks. Thank you, Mika.
Don't say it, okay?
Let's go, Gillian.
Gillian?
Yes? What's wrong?
How about dinner sometime?
Dinner?
Yeah, you know, dinner.
Mika.
Not interested. I thought it would be nice, you know, to kick back, relax. It's Christmas after all.
Christmas, huh? I'll be back by then.
Gillian, we have to hurry.
That's a promise, right? I heard you.
Yeah, okay. But I gotta go to church first.
I'll see you soon then.
Okay, Metal, let's go.
I've input the map data on the Kremlin's locations. Lift off. Flight configuration, now gaining altitude.
Jamie, please be safe.
Gillian, please keep in mind that we're working with a strict time limit.
A 50-year debt in 3 hours. Snow!
Snow 9, to be specific. We've entered the Snow 9 region. Please put on your breathing filter. Direct inhalation is dangerous.
All right.
Radio transmissions will also be impossible from this point on. Understood? Now descending. Conversion to hover configuration complete. Gillian, we've arrived. All right, now opening the door.
What's wrong? Won't open?
I've scanned it, and it's not locked. It is probably rusted into place.
Not surprising. After all, our friends always go in and out through the basement.
Let's push it together.
All right. 1, 2, 3!
That got it. This is where they fuse the artificial skin onto the Snatcher's endostructure. First, they adjust the size of the still skinless Snatcher to the size of the individual who is to be snatched. The Snatcher's overall shape and size can be adjusted by expansion or contraction of sizing rods. Their sex is controlled by gender units, which are installed at this point. Then, the face is modified to match the intended victim by adjusting the size of the upper and lower jaw, cheekbones, temporal bones, and tooth alignment.
Just like Gibson said, that means there are limits to the size of the people that they can snatch.
That's right. The limits of the mechanism mean that they can't snatch children, the elderly, or people who are very tall or heavy. And this is where the artificial muscle's attached.
Is it organic?
No, it appears to be coated with a type of plastic gel capable of mechanical response. Like human muscles, it creates mechanical energy through chemical reactions. And this is where the artificial skin is attached. In order to prevent the synthetic cells, developed using biotechnological protein design techniques, from rejecting the inorganic material below, they attach it gradually over a number of days.
And this is the stuff that gets cancer if they stay out in the sun too long.
Finally, they attach body and scalp hair. The process involves transplant of synthetic hair follicles as well, so the hair will grow back if it's lost.
What about scars or birthmarks?
It would appear that they make those adjustments at this point in the process, as they would for wrinkles to simulate age.
So this is where the whole thing begins. The endostructures arrive here from the Kremlin. Then they convert them into copies of their victims. And finally, they head out into the city using the old subway system.
With artificial skin maintenance being handled at Queen's Hospital.
But who's behind all this?
Gillian, look at this. There are some finished snatchers over here.
Get a load of this. The U.S. President, the Prime Ministers of Japan, and the U.K.
Gillian, you're in here too.
Figures. They were looking to snatch every VIP at the summit.
And the last junker, you. It definitely looks like they plan on moving out beyond Neo Kobe.
If they were to snatch every major world leader, they'd practically be able to control the planet. Still, that's odd. With their flawed skin, pulling something off like that would really be difficult.
Chin said they had found the key to developing a perfect artificial skin. Maybe they've already produced it.
No idea. But the number of snatchers here makes it clear that they're up to something new.
Gillian, this is definitely their nest. We should destroy everything.
Not yet. Not until we found Jamie. Metal, how much time do we have left?
The summit should have begun by now. We don't have much time. And once our legal privileges are suspended, I won't be able to help. In fact, I'll be forced to restrain you.
I know. If the military wants to avoid nukes and goes for a surgical strike on this facility, what would they likely use?
Probably a phased particle beam from one of the attack satellites.
A phased particle beam, huh? That'll wipe this complex right off the map.
Everything, including the soil, will simply evaporate. The attack will leave just a large crater.
Metal, can you convince them to give me another hour? Even 30 minutes will help.
Understood. I'll try my best.
And I'll try to find and rescue Jamie in that time.
I can't transmit here due to interference from the Snow 9. I'll have to leave the area and then send the message.
All right. Do it, Metal.
Gillian, don't forget. 30 minutes. You must get out before then.
I understand.
Gillian, I'm sorry I couldn't help you better.
Don't worry about it. I'll be able to move faster by myself anyway. 30 minutes should be plenty. Go, Metal!
Yes, sir. Don't forget, 30 minutes!
"30 minutes? Oh, this is gonna be tight. That room's the only place left to check. Let's take a look.